The night my mother-in-law threw my wife out of the house, lightning cracked so hard the living room windows shook. I still remember that sound. Not because it scared me. Because Eleanor somehow managed to yell louder than the storm. "You picked him over your family," she screamed at Serena while rain hammered the roof. "Then you can struggle with him too." Serena stood there frozen near the doorway holding one suitcase and crying so hard she could barely breathe. And the craziest part? Eleanor genuinely thought she was teaching her daughter a lesson. "My name's Mason Hale. I'm 39 years old now, and 5 years ago I was exactly the kind of man wealthy parents warn their daughters about. No degree. No savings. No polished career path. I fixed HVAC systems during the day and drove food deliveries at night because life in Charlotte isn't exactly cheap when your bank account thinks survival is a hobby." Meanwhile, Serena came from money. Real money. Country club money. Her mother Eleanor treated social status like oxygen. Everything became a ranking system with her. Neighborhoods. Jobs. Watches. Wine. People. Especially people. And from the second Serena introduced me, Eleanor looked at me the same way rich people look at water stains in luxury hotels. Temporary problem. At first Serena tried balancing both worlds. Sunday brunches with her family. Cheap tacos with me afterward while apologizing for things she didn't actually need to apologize for. "Ignore my mom," she'd whisper. Easy advice unless somebody's mother keeps treating you like expired milk at every family gathering. Little comments constantly slipped through. "Mason works with his hands. Interesting phrasing there." Or, "Serena always did have a rebellious streak." Eleanor smiled while saying cruel things too. That somehow made it worse. Then Serena got pregnant unexpectedly. That's when the mask really came off. Eleanor invited us over one rainy Thursday night saying she wanted to discuss practical solutions. Whenever rich people say practical solutions, somebody poorer usually gets humiliated. Sure enough, the second we sat down, Eleanor folded her hands and looked directly at Serena. "You still have options." Silence. Heavy silence. Serena immediately stiffened beside me. "We're keeping the baby," she said quietly. Eleanor sighed dramatically. "With him?" That part stayed with me. Not with this situation. With him. Like I was a bad neighborhood somehow. I just sat there calm because guys like me learn early that angry poor men make wealthy people feel correct. Then Eleanor turned toward me. "What exactly can you provide my daughter long term?" Honestly? Good question. At the time, not much. But Serena answered before I could. Love. Stability. Respect. Eleanor laughed softly. "Sweetheart, those are things people say before bills arrive." 3 weeks later Serena moved out after another screaming match with her mother. That stormy night. The suitcase. The lightning. Everything. We ended up renting this tiny apartment above a laundromat where the pipes clanged every morning around 6 like somebody fighting robots downstairs. Real glamorous beginning. But honestly, those first 2 years became some of the happiest of my life. Hard. But happy. Serena worked remote customer service while finishing certification courses online. I kept working constantly. HVAC during the day. Deliveries at night. We barely slept. But every month life got slightly less terrifying. Then opportunity showed up accidentally. One of my HVAC clients owned several small apartment complexes around Charlotte. Nice older guy named Walter Bishop. One afternoon while I repaired rooftop units during 98-degree heat, he asked if I'd ever considered running maintenance operations instead of just repairs. I laughed. Feels above my pay grade. Walter shrugged. Most capable people think that. That sentence changed everything. Within 18 months I became regional maintenance supervisor for 6 properties. Then operations manager. Then partner on a small renovation project Walter funded after realizing I actually understood budgeting, staffing, and tenant management better than half the people carrying business degrees. Funny how survival teaches efficiency. By year 5, Serena and I co-owned a growing property management company handling residential communities across Western Charlotte. Nothing billionaire level. But stable. Respectable. Most importantly, peaceful. Then Eleanor lost everything. See, her second husband Curtis invested heavily in speculative commercial developments right before interest rates exploded. Bad timing. Worse decisions. The kind wealthy people assume only happens to others. Within a year the house got sold. Cars disappeared. Country club memberships quietly ended. And suddenly Eleanor needed work. That's the part karma never warns people about. How ordinary life becomes once status evaporates. I found out through Serena one evening while we reviewed tenant reports in our office. She's applying for housekeeping jobs, Serena said quietly. I looked up slowly. And? Serena hesitated. One of our site managers recommended her for part-time cleaning staff. Now, let me be clear. I didn't feel triumphant. Honestly, I mostly felt tired. Because some people spend so long worshipping status they never build actual resilience underneath it. Still, Serena looked nervous. You don't have to approve it. Interesting thing there. She assumed I'd want revenge. But revenge is loud. Hurt people usually imagine loud things. Real power's quieter. Does she need work? I asked. Serena nodded once. Then hire her. That threw Serena completely off guard. 3 days later Eleanor walked into our headquarters wearing a plain gray housekeeping uniform carrying cleaning supplies. For the first time in 10 years, she avoided eye contact with me. Yeah. That didn't sit right either. Not because I wanted humiliation. Because watching somebody lose their entire identity is uncomfortable even when they earned part of the fall themselves. Eleanor worked mostly evening shifts cleaning common areas in 2 residential buildings we managed. Quiet work. Honest work. The kind she used to mock constantly. At first she barely spoke to either of us. Then little cracks started appearing. One afternoon I found her reorganizing supply closets during overtime she technically didn't need to work. You missed dinner break, I said. She shrugged without looking up. Wanted the floors finished. That sentence hit strangely hard coming from her. Weeks passed. Then months. And slowly, something changed. Not dramatically. Just small things. Eleanor started greeting tenants kindly. Bringing candy for maintenance staff during holidays. Asking Serena about the baby without sounding defensive. Humility arrived late. But it arrived. Then came the confrontation neither of us expected. One rainy evening I stayed late reviewing renovation estimates while thunder rolled outside the office windows. Funny how life circles back around storms. Eleanor knocked softly on my office door. You have a minute? I nodded. She sat carefully across from me holding paper coffee with both hands. For a while she just stared at the rain. Then finally. I thought struggle meant failure. No self-pity. No dramatic crying. Just honesty. I stayed quiet. She laughed softly at herself. You know what scares me most? She asked. I respected money more than character for almost my entire life. That landed harder than any apology would have. Because she finally understood the actual problem. Not losing wealth. Worshipping it. Eleanor looked at me carefully then. I was cruel to you. I nodded once. Yes. You were. Another silence. Then she surprised me. You still gave me dignity anyway. Honestly? That almost broke me more than the storm years earlier. Because I suddenly realized Serena had inherited strength from somewhere. Maybe not from the version of Eleanor we knew back then. But from the person sitting across from me now trying, awkwardly, to become better before life ended. A few months later we promoted Eleanor into resident services support. Nothing symbolic either. She genuinely earned it. Turns out people change differently once survival humbles them enough to listen. Last winter Serena, our daughter Ava, and I visited Eleanor's smaller apartment during Christmas Eve. Tiny place. Modest decorations. Peaceful though. At one point Ava fell asleep curled beside her grandmother on the couch while snow drifted outside the windows. Serena squeezed my hand quietly. You okay? I looked around the apartment for a second. Then thought about that storm years earlier. The screaming. The suitcase. The lightning. Funny thing is, Eleanor thought throwing us out ruined our future. But honestly? It was the first moment we finally started building one of our own.